This Les Paul spoke to me. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Alright, so kind of a fun story of why we're reviewing this guitar today. I was booked for a private help session about this particular guitar model, the Les Paul KM, and the one the guy was looking at had non-original pickups. The originals were included, but whether they still worked or not was kind of in question. And the money he was going to pay, it's like, I do have this one, it's pretty nice, and it would only cost you a couple $100 more, just to give him some options. And I told him what he probably should offer on that other one, and he decided to go for this. And even though he had agreed to have purchased it as is, I took a nice little carpet style era video for him to show him the condition of everything. I just decided I can't send a guitar all dirty like that. I wanted to clean this one up because it was a very nice Les Paul KM. It came out of that collection that I had to buy to get my Brazilian Rosewood Les Paul Custom back. But as I was cleaning this thing, the flame top just came out so much. It's like, man, I need to make a video about this one. Just because I put all the work in cleaning it, we might as well share its full beauty because we didn't get to see how beautiful it could be during that unboxing video. And we reviewed tons of other KMs in the past, including Robert Baker's actual one. If you're not familiar with him, he's a YouTuber who has very famously used one of these since the early days of his channel. But if you're brand new to the KM model, these were introduced as a limited edition in 1979, and you can find some produced all the way until 1980. In fact, I think I've even seen a single 1981 before, and they came in 3 main different colors. You've got a nice tobacco sunburst like this one, there's a natural like this, and then we've got a big bright cherry sunburst, very 70s in-your-face style. However, recently an ebony one did show up, so maybe there's a few custom colors out there. Shipping ledgers indicate about 1,500 of them were made. However, there's no way to know for sure. But the early production ones came with these custom-made plaques. Sometimes they were just in the case, but most times if they were factory mounted, they'd be right here underneath the tailpiece. So for my own personal collection, I'm looking for all custom-made plaque ones. That's why I decided to offer this one up. But besides being limited edition, what makes these special is the fact that they have a 2-piece maple top. Most of them are plain. That's why this one's a little bit special with some nice flame figuring within it. But the most iconic feature here is the double cream T-top pickups. It's the only Gibson model to come with the T-top variation. You can find other double cream Dirty Fingers pickups, but as far as T-tops go, if you find a set in the wild, they initially came out of a KM. Then, of course, we have their fancy little truss rod cover here. But these were meant to be like Gibson's first main full run of guitars to be a 59 reissue. Now, as far as specs go, it kind of sucks, to be honest. We still have the 3-piece maple neck. We still have the giant boat paddle head stock. They also randomly got real mother-of-pearl trapezoid inlays. That's why they look whiter than other Les Paul standards of the era. It's another very iconic feature of the KM. You still have the Nashville bridge instead of ABR1. At least we have the 1-piece mahogany body spec correct, but that wasn't really special at this time. So essentially, all they got right was the 2-piece maple top, but hey, it was the very early days of them trying to create what eventually became the prehistoric reissues until we got to the custom shop in 1993. But to learn more about this beautiful example before we send it off, let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench to take a look at its parts and specs. Alright, let's go ahead and check out the insides of this player's grade KM. So here's the backside of that double cream T-top pickup. We don't have any date stamp, but you do have the patent number engraved into the base plate. Same thing's true over here on the bridge pickup. As far as readings within the circuit, we get 7.73 k ohms in the bridge, neck is 7.66, and our middle, just for fun, 3.85. That's about where they should be. T-tops can range anywhere between about 7.3 to 7.7, although typically 7.5 is most common. Another 59 spec they didn't get right is not doing the long neck tenon, but there were very few guitars in this era that did. And here's that bridge pickup one, nothing too special, but you can see the side profile of the maple top right before it joins to that mahogany body. But hold the phone here for a second. Do you see this photo? This actually has a pancake body, but it's only the invisible layer that I didn't know about. So I think I need to go through all the rare Norland era models again, now that I have a better understanding that pancakes were double layered. Because this example does not have the obvious seam line in the center like you see on most pancake bodies. This one's extra maple layer is actually right below the maple top and the mahogany body, where a natural join happened. There was a luthier on Instagram, BIGDGUITARS. He had just recently worked on a 2550, and he had talked about something like this, so I'm definitely gonna have to watch out for this going further, because I always thought that was like just a glue layer or something. Because we go back to Robert Baker's over here, we can see the exact same maple stripe right here. So hey, doing this review helped us learn something new. So I guess now we need to talk. Do we still call these pancake bodies? Because it's not like the body is multiple pieces, but the top and the body joining together is technically the body, so I don't know, I'm a little bit conflicted. It's just something in the middle. Woods are still being joined. But let's take a second just to appreciate that beautiful flash photography flame top shot of this one again. It's that video that made me go, ah, man, why did I sell this? That's the reason I didn't want to make this all perfect and clean, because once I go through that process, it's like, oh man, you know, all those little things I didn't like about it all of a sudden aren't looking so bad anymore. But in regular lighting situations, it's not quite as active of a top, and we've got nicks and dings all over this. I was actually trying to sell this one to Robert to see if like he wanted a flame top version of his Indie, but I guess he didn't want two of the same guitar, which I totally get. But it never hurts to check with people. I've always found that out. Better than getting a message after a video's aired like, oh man, you should have checked with me on that. But bridge and tailpiece wise, this one's really clean. You can see the made in Germany markings right there, so it's original. And your tailpiece is also looking good. The correct casting mark. Moving on from the body, we've got our neck. Here's the other thing I did is I polished these frets. They were looking pretty worn, but I just love polishing frets. It's such a labor of love and it hurts your hands, but the end product and result is just fantastic. They look great and they feel great. I mean, this does have flattening fret wear. It might need a level recrown in the future, but as of right now, it actually plays really good with low action. And you can see those beautiful mother of pearl trapezoid inlays. But let's capture some specs here. 24 3/4 inch scale length, 12-inch fretboard radius, neck angle of approximately 4 degrees, with a nut width of 1.7 inches, that increases to 2.06 by the 12th, first fret neck depth of 0.81 and 0.97 by the 12th. If you're more of a visual learner than numbers, here's what it looks like at the first fret and the 12th fret. It's nice and rounded, but definitely thin. I categorize these as 60 slim necks. The fret wire on these is pretty low. It measures 0.05 tall, if I'm taking that reading correctly. And lastly, we have a headstock pitch of about 14 degrees. As far as the rest of the headstock goes, we've got scratches all over it. You've got your Gibson mother of pearl logo though, with your Les Paul model silkscreen done up in gold. We've got the Les Paul KM truss rod cover, which is special to this model. We've got the initials of the guy who did the frets at the factory, and our truss rod is in perfect shape and you can see through to that maple neck. Something interesting that I've noticed about these KMs over the years comes down to the plastics. They must have changed manufacturers, or whoever made their plastics for them used a slightly different material, because you see how this one's aged, but that one's not? Sometimes you see it like one will glow under black light, the other one doesn't. That doesn't necessarily mean that has been replaced, because I've seen it on enough examples. This is all even to that, and then the pick guard, but the tops of the bobbins of the pickups aren't quite even. These don't tend to age too much. There's actually a really cool example on Reverb right now where all the plastics are like this deep yellow color, and then the pickups kind of look strange because they haven't aged. But nothing has been changed on this guitar, so the odds of that being replaced is very, very, very low, and I've seen it many a countless times before. But before we flip over to the back, we'll just gloss over the top here so you can see all those beautiful natural wear marks. Moving on to the back, here is something I have not seen in a while. So I probably should have filmed this before I cleaned it out, but there was actually cobwebs in here, but there's no spider carcass anywhere. So you might ask yourself, how does a spider get in a guitar like that? Well, he would have had to have climbed through the little output jack here, went through here, decided this was not a good place to live, and then somehow crawled through this very tiny channel route all the way up into here and been like, yeah, that's where I want to be. And then he left one day. I did find bugs in the guitar once. That was an old episode. So yeah, occasionally you can find bugs that crawl through your output jack. but our pots on this one date to the 17th week of 1979. Looks like that one will match as well, as do our tone pots. And this is a beautiful cavity, completely untouched. Even has a ground wire on top of our shielding and grounding tin with our yellow disc capacitors. But this is a great one-piece mahogany body. It's got a good chatoyant effect to it as well when you dance it in the light after I decided to polish it. But when I tell you this one is player's grade, somebody had a pretty sizable belt buckle, because I mean this whole back is marred up. I'm just glad this isn't buckle rash. So if you don't know the difference, buckle worming is when you have these marks like this. Buckle rash is when it goes through the finish. So if you look at it at an angle, you're going to see the finish got tore up. It's almost turning into rash in this area, but just not quite. It's just a great piece. Another 59 spec they didn't bother to get right with these is the wide binding in the cutaway instead of the thin binding that it should be. But over here, nice beautiful dark heel. And a lot of guys don't even realize these are maple necks because of the stain they put on it, because it just kind of looks like mahogany unless you've seen a lot of these guitars. But no, it is a maple neck with a volute of all things. That's not very 59 either. But we do have these Grover tuners, which is seen as an upgrade to a standard Les Paul of the era. But our serial number dates it to the 218th day of 1979. Kalamazoo produced, 148th in production for that particular day. And just for fun here, let's take a look at it under blacklight. You can see an area of wear right here where the clear coat has slightly been rubbed away. You don't really notice it in normal lighting situations. You can also see all that sweat absorption, so somebody played this quite lovingly. But here you can see what I was talking about the different plastics and just how they glow differently under blacklight. So even if they hadn't aged as much, you could definitely tell there is some difference. But those knobs do not lie. They are vintage original for this guitar. Nothing too much to see on our fretboard, but the face of the headstock glows the same as the rest of the guitar. And I didn't notice anything too crazy back here either. So this one definitely passes that blacklight test. You can see that there is just a little bit of light clear coat wear on the neck. And you used to be able to feel that, but then after I polished the neck, I mean, it's completely even feeling now. It's back to being brand new as far as I'm concerned. I love the feeling of a good polished neck. I mean, seriously, if you want your guitar to feel like brand new again, get yourself the Virtuoso Premium Polish. I love their polish. They're cleaner. I'm so on. But if your neck is sticky, just take this, rub it on your neck, and it's going to feel brand new, glass smooth again. But these KMs are always pretty chunky. 10 pounds, 14.7 ounces. Pretty much 11 pounds. But let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how this beautiful flamey one sounds. Okay, these are definitely slightly overwound T-tops. I mean, we kind of saw that on the workbench, but I actually had to dial these back to about a 9, because full on 10, they really just want to bite your head off. You can hear they start to overdrive my amp. And I mean, these are not hot pickups by any means, but as far as PAF style ones go, definitely. Really love that middle position on this one. Let's go ahead and kick on some dirt. Now that we know all about this particular Gibson Les Paul KM, what are my final thoughts? Very hot and attacking sounding example. I can see why this particular one was played as much as it was. Beautiful top on this one. Most of them are pretty plain, but as far as today's flame top standards go, yeah, it's actually a pretty mild top, but it cleaned up very nicely and really came to life. So I just had to document it before I said goodbye. I put all the work into making it beautiful. We might as well share it with the world. So I hope you didn't mind checking out another Les Paul KM. But I think since I sold this one, there's a different one on Reverb I am interested in that has the custom made plaque. So I'm gonna see, since it's sat for 6 months, to see if the person will make a deal. But let me tell you, this one is definitely more beautiful than that other one, but you know, I need the other color in my collection. All right, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.